Hey everybody, Quinn Kitty here. It is February the 9th, 2018, and today I'm going to be offering advice and giving you insight into what it's like to raise a disabled child. And a lot of the rules are pretty much standard for any child, both disabled and non-disabled, but there are a couple things that I need to emphasize. Like, for the first thing is, I can't stress this enough, is to learn how to speak up. If you're not the type of person that usually speaks up, you're going to have to learn, because you're going to be spending a lot of time in the hospital and a lot of time at doctor's offices, and in that environment, you have to learn to speak up and hold on to your guns. And like when I was in the hospital, there were some times where they did tests on me all day, from 12 to 1 o'clock in the morning, and without a break. And it got very exhausting after a while. So my mom actually had to speak up and tell him, like, that's enough. Like, we need a break, you need sleep, because my heart rate was sky high and my oxygen level went really, really low because I was so stressed out. And the doctors challenged her, of course, like they're supposed to do, but they eventually stopped. But they wouldn't have ever stopped until my mom said stop, because of course the doctors aren't doing these tests to hurt you deliberately, even though some of the tests are painful. It's ultimately to get you better. And it's a matter of how sick your child is. Like, they might be on the verge of life or death, and they need these tests immediately, back to back to back, to save them. But I felt like I had to say I was in, and my mom did, because they thought that it wasn't really necessary to do them that quickly, back to back. And one thing that you have to realize too is you have to speak up for your kid, because you're their voice. Because when you're a kid in the medical field, no one will listen to you because you're a kid. They don't listen to your opinions on whether you need the test or not, because you're not old enough to officially say what your true opinion is. So you have to be their advocate for them. And it's not just like that in the hospital, but it's also like that in school. Like, since I was in regular school, my mom actually went to the school and got me enrolled, and had to lay out basically what my disability is and how it affects me, which is awesome. You have to do that for sure. You always have to do that. And tell them that I have a normal brain, and I have a completely normal brain. And for anybody that's disabled, that looks disabled but has a normal brain, you have to make them known that they have a normal brain. And they should be able to enroll you in normal classes, and you get the normal curriculum that everyone else has. And now, there might be some that are bad eggs, I guess I'd say. But that's not just in school systems, that's just everywhere you go. That's just how the world is. There are good people and bad people. But they won't directly say it, but you'll be able to tell by their facial expression or by their words. They'll nonchalantly be telling you, like, you shouldn't be griping about this or that, or you're lucky that your child is even attending the school that we're letting them attend. And if you ever get that impression, don't believe it, because it's complete nonsense. If someone makes you feel that way, that's nonsense. It's not a matter of luck that your child is going to school, but they have as much right to be there as everyone else. And if you're mentally able to do the work, then you can do the work. And when you're actually in class, of course, there are some things that we can't do physically. Like, for example, PE, I couldn't do the normal exercises everyone else was doing. But luckily, I had great coaches that came up with alternatives to doing PE, where I got a little exercise myself in my own way. And they also involved other children, so I got social interaction with some other kids, and I developed a few friendships that way. And it was that way in class too. Like, I don't know if everyone has this with SMA, but me personally, I have trouble reading really, really small print. So they would make the print bigger and give me bigger paper, and that was a big help. And teachers really, really cared about me. Like, so many great teachers, like too many to name. And it really made my school experience better. And it never felt like I was the oddball in the class. Like, I was just me. And the school can offer modifications like that. You just have to ask and tell them what you need, and they should be able to accommodate. And one thing also that I have to mention is that if you're disabled, and one thing that you're going to have to deal with is a bunch of insurance and supplies companies. And they're friendly, of course, but there are definitely going to be a bunch of complications with that. That's just the way the process works. And there will be moments where they say, like, we can't give you this because of this reason or this law or that law. And all you have to do is hold your ground and say you need this, and you're not taking it for an answer, and then they'll give it to you. You just have to fight for it, and they won't offer you alternatives unless you ask. You have to ask for it. And that's just the way businesses are nowadays. That's how all businesses seem to be now, not just supplies. It's just the nature of capitalist businesses, I guess. And the last thing that I need to stress, not just for disabled people, but for everybody, is to discipline your child. And when you're disabled, I've seen some parents go, well, they're already disabled, I don't want to cripple them even more by disciplining them. I mean, they're already stressed out as much as it is. But that's just not true. Like, it's necessary. We eventually have to go out into the world, and in the world there are rules that we have to follow, and if we can't follow rules, then we don't last very long. Like, and there are consequences, and we need to learn that simple fact through discipline. And as I was a kid, no kid likes to be disciplined, of course, but we learn, and we evolve, and we adapt to the rules. And that's one thing that disabled people are good at, is adapting. We adapt very good to different situations because that's how we live. And so don't be afraid to discipline your child. We need it. It's just the way every parent, I think, should treat their kid. And we'll be all the more better for it. So I think that's a great place to end this video. Thank you for watching. This has been Quinn Kennedy rolling out. See you next time.